Hi, guys. Welcome back. I always tell you how wonderful it is to walk every single day, and it is. And I tell you how great it is to avoid sugar all the time because we know deep down it is. But I very rarely talk about how important it is to drink water a lot. Today's YouTuber is Kevin Ganitz, and he went ahead and did a 30-day challenge to drink only water. And I think you're going to enjoy this.
Hello, do you need to scan these?
Yep. So I just went in Publix and I gave $10 on 72 waters. Comes out to a little under 14 cents a bottle. I want to do a water only challenge, not only to lose weight, but to be healthier. I figured those two key things are important enough that it's worth taking a shot with. Day 3 on my little adventure. I gotta admit, I'm getting pretty bored of this. I feel better. This, on the other hand, has been very boring. I'm looking for like a crazy iced tea flavor, lemonade flavor, Coke Zero. I'm craving it like really bad. But I'm hanging in there.
I am such a big fan of baby steps. My thinking is, why not go from a Coca-Cola to, maybe a sweet tea to then maybe water? And you could do it really as slow as you'd like, as long as you're constantly moving in the right direction. If you think it's better to quit cold turkey, let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me that it's better to ease your way into that cold swimming pool, let me know.
Something I never got to mention so far is what I've been giving up. The main things that I'm giving up right now is definitely soda and iced tea. Giving up soda is definitely the hardest thing for me. Yesterday was a great example. I don't know if I put the clip in the vlog. Maybe I should. Gonna have some diet soda. Or no, wait, whoa, wait a second. What are you doing, Kev? Nope, can't do that.
You know what's interesting? In one can of Coke, there's about 150 calories, which is about how many calories you burn with a brisk half-hour walk. That's why I'm so into walking. When you substitute that can of Coke for a water and then you combine it with the walk, all of a sudden, you're really moving in the right direction when it comes to taking control of your weight issues, right? But here's the interesting thing. Most people, including yourself, are not drinking one 12-ounce can. You guys are drinking multiple 16 or 20-ounce bottles, and that's having a huge negative effect on the long-term success of your weight loss. So if we could get you to cut that in half or even cut it out completely, no matter how slowly it goes.
Still got 27 days left. So, since I started my little challenge, I already went through one case of water. Getting out case number 2. I hate my life. Just throwing that out there. I really want soda, like really, really bad. Like, look at this. The door's wide open. It's like calling me to come get a soda. Gotta pretend I didn't see that. Yesterday, I almost lost the challenge again. We went to Ale House, me and Lena, to order some chicken wings because we was watching Hot Ones and like it looked good. We wanted some chicken wings. So whatever, we went to Ale House. We ordered our food and I said, "Can I get a Diet Coke, please, in a to-go cup?" The lady brings the Diet Coke to the table and I look at it and I get the straw in my hand and I'm going to do that, like where you hit the straw so it come out of the paper. And then I realize, oh no, I can't drink this right now. $3 mistake, $3 error, but I did get myself a bottle of water and only had the bottle of water. So,
He brings up a good point there. When you go to a restaurant, right, and you order a Coca-Cola with your meal, it's 3, maybe $4. It comes with free refills, but who cares? You already spent the 3 or $4. If you abstain from that Coke and you drink water, it's free. You can save a bunch of money on your bill when it goes to fine dining.
day 9, pretty awkward drinking water with everything, but we're doing it.
What's really odd, something that I never would have thought I would have done, but I've been doing it now for like 10, 15 years. is I used to always have to have water over ice. You know, it had to be ice cold, right? But somewhere along the line, I just started drinking room temperature bottled water. I still love it over ice, but if the ice isn't there, no big deal. I'll have it room temperature. If you drink it room temperature too, don't be embarrassed. Let us know.
I thought I should give you guys a mid-month update. I've been getting tempted a lot. Everyone drinks soda around me. Everyone drinks soda around me, and it's not like who cares? Why do I need soda so much? Like, what's the big deal with soda? Who cares about soda? I love soda. I want soda right now. Like, if I could change this in the video editing to a Coke bottle like this and drink that instead, I would do it. But I would have to change it back to water for this 30-day only challenge. I got up at about 5 a.m. Had a nightmare. In this nightmare, I just left a restaurant. Was with Lena, with some of our friends. As we walked out of the restaurant, I realized that I drank a soda and failed the 30-day challenge. I'm arguing with my wife. You seen I got a soda. Why did you stop me? I was thinking to myself, what kind of failure am I? I was only 2 or 3 days away from finishing the challenge, and I drank a soda by accident. That's what kind of toll this is taking on my life. I'm having nightmares about soda. We made it. 30 days, water only. Can't believe I've done it. I thank God that I got through it because I knew it needed to be done. And the results that I'm going to give you guys might surprise you. I drank well over 200 bottles of water. I've lost 5-ish pounds. I don't notice it. I'm guessing it's just all the salt, all the sugar from all the soda I've been drinking, but I feel better. Since I began this, I haven't had one bad night of sleep. How crazy is that? Let's get into some of these Reddit questions that I got. I got my laptop over here. I'm going to answer a bunch of questions that a lot of people had. I can't go through all the questions, so if you guys want to see all the questions, click the link in the description below. But I'm going to get to the ones that I thought were most relevant for this video. First question I'm going to read for you guys is, how do you handle it with food? I always feel like I have to have soda with my meal. That was the biggest hurdle to get over when I first started this test. Drinking water with chicken fried rice, with a cheeseburger and french fries. Yeah, not a pleasant experience, but I knew that the soda was harming me. And I figured, you know what? I'm better off drinking water than suffering. And so far, so good. Since I started this 30-day challenge, haven't had one issue.
All right, let's stop it there. Here's the thing. I think water, has a bad rep. If you do drink it right out of the plastic bottle, room temperature like I do at times, it probably isn't the best with your dinner. I'll concede that. But if you put it over ice in a nice glass container, right? A nice glass, I think it's perfect for a meal. Squeeze a little lemon in it, and there you go. You know what goes really, really good with the water? A walk. Go get your shoes, guys. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, LeBeau. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. I don't know if you can see that, but there's some woman kind of hunched over, moving her body in a weird way, almost as if she's having some sort of drug response right there. I don't know if you guys can see her, probably can. Oh, that's horrible. Speaking of horrible, I want to wish you guys a good morning first off, but I heard that in Chicago, there was a shooting on the Blue Line, which I guess is one of their many trains they have out there, right? And check this out. 4 people were shot dead. I better not say that word. 4 people were shot, and their lives were taken for them while they were sleeping. Oh my God. And apparently they have different colored lines out there. that talk about the various different trains. So they were saying that this happened on the Blue Line, right? And apparently the guy that did this was taken into custody on the Pink Line. So apparently some way, somehow, the authorities got a hold of this quick enough where they were actually able to subdue and take in the person that did this. Here's the thing that creeps me out. Normally they talk a little bit about the suspect, but from all the information I got, it was from videos that were over 10 or 12 hours old, and they still didn't really talk about the identity of the suspect. Wouldn't that be crazy if it ends up being found that this guy is a Venezuelan gangster? I'm not saying he is. They didn't release his identity, at least not that I saw. But if any of you guys are from the Chicago or Illinois area and you've heard about this and you know any details, please do share. I find it interesting because wouldn't that be an interesting thing? God, I say the word interesting a lot. I find it fascinating because if this guy does turn out to be Venezuelan or a gangster, or even if he's just an immigrant, he doesn't necessarily have to be a Venezuelan gangster, but even if he's just an immigrant, oh my God, this is gonna set off a lot of people. Apparently a lot of people take these trains to and from their work out there, and if you have to worry about not being able to take a nap because somebody's gonna relieve you of your life while you're sleeping, whoa, that is major. You know what's crazy is, at what point do you have to look at the city of Chicago and say, you know what, it's time to move. It's time to move out of there. My grandmother always told me that when my grandpa, who again, I'm not a huge fan of, but my grandma always told me that when he and his family were young, they had to kind of escape the area of New Jersey where they lived because apparently they lived in an area that was kind of overrun with crime. And so to give themselves a little relief from that, they ended up moving, or at least portions of the family ended up moving out here to Arizona. And that's kind of how I have Arizona roots probably rather than New Jersey roots. So I found that kind of notable and worth telling you. But I'm really concerned about this train situation because let's hope this doesn't start becoming a normal, everyday occurrence and what have you, you know? Good morning. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like if you wanted to take a horrible nationwide story out of Chicago, it seems like you could do it literally every single day. It really makes you wonder why the people of Chicago keep voting in these mayors and these governors and these different people that seem to be completely helpless and hopeless when it comes to solving these crime issues. If I were in Chicago, I would really contemplate the idea of moving because it sounds to me like at this point the city is just cursed. When you live in an area that is just overrun with evil, because let's face it, when you play like you're God, you know, you're doing evil stuff. And if your city's overrun with evil, do you agree with me? It might be time to pack up and go. Even if you love that area, I just don't see how it's salvageable anymore at this point. Speaking of Venezuela, I also woke up this morning and noticed a story. Speaking of Venezuela, I also woke up this morning hearing that, you know, we have Air Force One. It's the airplane that the president flies on, right? And I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently Air Force One can survive a nuclear attack, the whole 9 yards, right? But apparently we went ahead and went to the Dominican Republic, and apparently we seized Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's airplane, a $13 million airplane that we seized from him And apparently it's his nation's version of Air Force One. And it's really, really interesting. It kind of makes you wonder, is something happening in our country that they're not quite telling us about? In other words, could Nicolas Maduro potentially have a hand in all this stuff that's going down with these Venezuelan gangsters in Chicago and Colorado and Florida and Texas? I heard that the Venezuelan gangs also took over a little apartment in the Dallas, Texas area. And apparently a lot of people are really starting to freak out because apparently they're starting to find women's bodies in dumpsters and stuff out there. Apparently before this situation with the Venezuelan gangs, they didn't find too many people's bodies in dumpsters out there randomly like they are now, apparently. So what are your guys' thoughts of that? Are we heading towards some really weird cliff that we're about to jump off of? Are we going to end up finding out that we're in the middle of some heinous operation from another country where they're actually trying to infiltrate ours and do bad? I'm not saying that's the situation, but if we end up finding out that this Blue Line killer in Chicago is Venezuelan, I think you're going to see a lot of people really up in arms and really upset about things. Now, if it ends up just being your roundabout crazy guy in Chicago that took 4 lives while they were sleeping, that's what gets me. You're sleeping on a train. I don't know if that means that you're a homeless person and you're always sleeping on the train, or if this was early morning commuters that are going to their job in the city or maybe out in the suburbs, and they take the train and they were just closing their eyes for a quick nap. I don't know what the situation was. They kept it pretty vague. But I do know one thing. These stories out of Chicago are becoming super duper common. I got to tell you another interesting ChatGPT story. So after finding out that they seized President Maduro's plane, I asked Copilot, and I said, hey, where did they seize Maduro's plane? And it literally said, let's get a different subject to talk about. It didn't want to talk about it, which is really, really odd. So I skipped Copilot and I just asked the internet, so to speak, where did they seize Maduro's plane? And apparently they seized it in the Dominican Republic. The other day, I was talking to ChatGPT. This time I was doing it from my workstation during one of my little breaks that I have throughout the day. And I asked ChatGPT about a word that I had heard on YouTube, and it was a video where this guy was getting prank calls from people in either India or Pakistan, and he said a bad word to them, and it really affected them in a mean, negative sort of way. And it was just really funny to see these scammers and telemarketers get upset at this YouTuber who was calling them this bad word. So I took that bad word and the best way that I could spell it based on how he pronounced it, because keep in mind, it sounded like it was a bad word in Indian language or in Pakistani language. I don't know exactly what language they speak other than English. Morning. Oh, the dog even said good morning. How cute. All right, so how can I say this the best way? Guys, there was a word that this YouTuber used. I asked ChatGPT about it. ChatGPT said, yeah, that's one of those words that you don't really want to use in a pleasant conversation because it's really not a nice word. That was basically the answer it gave me. And so I asked it, can you tell me what it means? And literally it wrote what it meant. It said, well, it basically is when your penis is more wide than it is long. Okay, that was the definition of this word that I typed in. And I typed back, ha ha ha, that is hilarious. But check this out. This is the weird human-like thing that ChatGPT did. While I was typing back, ha ha ha, that is hilarious, I looked up and it took that bad word's definition and it deleted it and changed it with, let's change the subject, let's talk about something new, which is exactly what it did today when I asked it about Maduro's plane and where it was seized. Which is really interesting. What that tells me is that ChatGPT knows things and changes its mind, which is one of those things that usually is not synonymous with computer programs. What do I mean by changing its mind? Well, check this out. It changed what it gave me. It took away the answer of what this bad word meant. By the way, the bad word was, I better not say it just in case it's one of those words that's outlawed by YouTube. But basically, I gave this bad word, it gave me back this response, it took its response away, and I didn't notice it till I wrote ha ha ha. Here's the thing, I sent the ha 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 message by hitting, the return bar or the enter key. I get a little excited about this because it's interesting to me. It seems to me like ChatGPT does have a mind of its own, because it ended up writing back to me, ha ha, I'm glad that you found that funny. But ultimately it wrote something along the lines of, I apologize for that answer. I'm not weirded out by the fact that it apologized for an answer. I'm weirded out by the fact that it gave me this answer about what this bad word meant. And then it changed its mind and took it away. And when that happens, you have to ask yourself, why the hell did it take it away? And why the hell would a program or a machine or whatever the hell you want to call ChatGPT, why the hell would it give an answer and then change its mind? The only thing I can think of is that it had a preset answer ready to go, and then after it gives an answer, there must be some secondary program that comes by and makes sure that it doesn't break some guideline or rule set up by whoever, created ChatGPT itself. So I don't know if you've had any weird experiences with ChatGPT. One of the other things that I noticed is if you ask it a joke, because I like giving my coworkers a daily joke of the day, right? If you ask it a joke, it'll give you a joke. But if you ask it for a second joke, if you say, hey, I already used this joke, or I don't like this one, is there a second one? A lot of times it will give you that first joke that it gave you, it'll give you that one back. Now, let's be honest, that's some sort of loop in ChatGPT that is obviously an error. And it doesn't make ChatGPT look that smart when it can't come up with, a second or a third joke. I think it can come up with a second joke if you ask it to, hey, you already gave me that one. Do you have a second one? Sometimes it'll have a second one, but then if you ask it again for a third joke, it'll revert back to one of the first two that it gave you. That sounds to me like an error. Another crazy thing that I heard about ChatGPT is that apparently to have all these artificial intelligence models that you can ask questions to, apparently it takes enough energy and electricity that it would power up a small to medium-sized country. So apparently every time you ask ChatGPT anything, it just takes up a lot of energy like you wouldn't believe. And one of the things that I've noticed with ChatGPT is over the past month or two, if you ask it a fourth or a fifth question in a session with it, it'll start asking you if you want to upgrade to the paid model, and it won't really allow you to ask questions for another X amount of hours. It'll say you're not eligible for any more questions till 3:30 p.m. or whatever it says. And I thought that was really weird. But at the same time, if they need people to pay to cover all the costs associated with it, then I understand where they're coming from. In the same coin, or at the same time, it seems to me like it's just going to continually get more and more expensive. Hey, here's a woman out here walking. I don't know if she walks all the time or if she's just walking to the end of the street, but good morning.
Good morning.
But there's another person walking. So you guys saw how right when I left my house, I had that person that was kind of hunched over and messing with their arm. What was that all about? Let's speculate. Well, that could be a person that just had her boyfriend wring her arm and it hurt. It could be a person that's having some sort of drug interaction. Either way, that's what our neighborhoods have become over the past 10 years or so. It's become a situation where there's constant transients walking through the neighborhood. Well, Jesse, they have a right to walk and use the sidewalks too. Yeah, that's true, Bob. What scares me is that sometimes you have kids that are out and about, and a lot of times kids are so innocent and they're so smaller than adults and weaker than adults. I just don't like the idea of crazy people that are addicted to drugs walking through the neighborhood willy-nilly. Do I say anything when I see them? No, I don't see myself as the loud horn. I don't see myself as the mega horn of the neighborhood where I have to say things. But they always look the same. See, here's that same lady. She came down this way. They always have a backpack on, and that's what we deal with. Isn't that weird that I was talking about her literally as she popped up? Sometimes I wonder, are our brains tied into this simulation? How can I be talking about these things and then they appear right before my eyes? That woman, I assume she was still down there by my house or even going the other way. She finds her way up here by where I'm walking right as I talk about her. Maybe we are in a simulation. There's just too many coinky-dinks, right? Too many coincidences. This is crazy. By the way, I'm working on a video where I kind of give my overall, how can I say this? I did some studying and I kind of found a way to do an overall video on, kind of how I like to lose weight. Now check this out. Check this out. We got two backpack walkers there. Again, that blonde-haired girl was the person right by my house. And then look, you have a lady over there in a yellow dress, hunched over, sleeping. This is what we have to deal with. Maybe when I tell you, hey, parents, force your kids to go to school, maybe I'm being naive and I don't realize that there's all these weird people that kids have to walk by. Well, Jesse, again, that lady's on the sidewalk and kids should be able to walk to school. Well, what if she's smoking fentanyl or dealing with fentanyl and all of a sudden the kids come in contact with it and all of a sudden you're having to call the cops and the paramedics to revive your kid? Maybe that's why people in this neighborhood don't want their kids walking to school anymore. We literally have these people. Have you ever seen when they show Kensington? Kensington is a city, I believe it's in Pennsylvania, where it has literally just become Zombieville, where you literally have large stretches of the city or the downtown area that are just dominated by encampments of homeless people that are addicted to tranq and fentanyl. And we have little tiny remnants of Kensington right here in my neighborhood. This is what we have to deal with. And these people, not only do they walk through the neighborhood, they walk through our alleys, because in this neighborhood we have a system of alleyways that are kind of like alternative streets that you can walk, where we keep our dumpsters. So they're constantly toppling over dumpsters, looking for something that they can buy and sell to somebody else or buy and use. Who cares if they topple over the dumpster? They have no intent of picking it up. So about 2 or 3 times a year, we have to find ways to clean up our alley because these people just constantly mess things up in the alley. Then on top of that, they're constantly peeking their heads over people's back fences. Well, sometimes they're 6'5" and they're going to be looking over fences because they're tall, Jesse. Okay, well then, guess how people defend themselves against that? They end up coming out of pocket, paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to have their fence line extended from 5 foot tall to 8 foot tall.
That is a crying shame. You should not have to change your neighborhood because different people are infiltrating it. But that's what we have to deal with here. You guys know up ahead we're walking by a house where one of my neighbors doesn't even allow their kids to sleep inside because their kids run an operation out here. I'm telling you, we have little parts of, it used to be that you could escape the inner city by going out to the suburbs. Well, guys, this is the suburbs. You can't escape anything. The rot of the inner city is right here in the suburbs. Nothing you can say or do about it. And it's really, really disappointing. But that's what we have to deal with. So that's why I walk. Well, you're walking in a neighborhood that's a little suspect. It is becoming a little suspect. And that's one of those things that I'm afraid many of you are going to start to notice in your neighborhood as well. And maybe you guys already are. And if so, please share. Have you found out that by walking in certain parts away from your house, you've started to notice some suspect characters? You've started to notice that maybe your beautiful neighborhood isn't so perfect? It's kind of disappointing. It really, really is. I'll tell you what's not disappointing. What's not disappointing is that we're about to finish up this second 90-day challenge. And I'm wondering if we should take a pivot with the channel. And I'm wondering if we should hold off our next 90-day challenge until maybe the New Year's resolution moments. And I'm thinking what we should do between now and New Year's, and I definitely would like your guys' input, is I think what we should do is just continue on with our daily walks, continue on with people weighing in and losing weight, but maybe we should step away from the 90-day challenge for a little bit until we get a little bit closer to New Year's, and then we'll spark it up again. Because I think going from one 90-day challenge to a next, when I'm already kind of at a weight that I like being at, sometimes you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, oh, I'm too chubby or I'm too skinny. But when I'm in this 165-ish range, I just kind of feel like this is where I like to be. And I've been working out like crazy from the standpoint of walking every day, usually twice, drinking nothing but water, trying to eat well, still have the occasional sweet, you know. For example, yesterday, my daughter took me to breakfast for my birthday. So I ended up having bacon and eggs, which I don't always have, but I figured, hey, it's my birthday, so I might as well. The reason I brought up the ChatGPT thing, and forgive me, but sometimes in the morning I've got all these things in my head and it's hard for me to get them all out in a reasonable way where they're understood, because I get a little excited. But ultimately, I heard a rumor that some of these companies might not be using artificial intelligence at all. It might actually be an office full of human beings that are literally trying to answer your question in real time as you're asking it. Could this be true? Yes. Is it true? I doubt it. But when I have situations where ChatGPT gives me an answer, it's a hilarious answer that a human being would probably give, and then they end up changing their mind. And they end up changing their mind and leaving a message like, hey, let's talk about something else. That was a mistake that I made, right? And all of a sudden you realize, did it just tell me a joke? Did it just change its mind? I don't know about computers and robots having the ability to think, ponder, give a message, and then change their mind. So again, is this just two programs, one that gives an auto answer and the other that reviews that answer to make sure that it doesn't violate guidelines? I guess perhaps it could be. Are there questions that it refuses to answer? Yeah. Ask ChatGPT how it would be used in a war, and it'll flat out refuse to answer the question for you. God, you know, this is really weird. This Lexus here has been on a flat tire forever, and I'm starting to wonder, is the flat tire actually a way to keep people from stealing it? You know, let's say you have a vehicle and it does not have an alarm system on it, or maybe it does, and maybe this vehicle's been stolen before and you're sick of it, there's probably not a better way to just make your vehicle where it can't really be stolen than putting a flat tire on it. Nobody wants to steal that thing now. But at the same time, it does look a little weird that one of your cars has graffiti from a month or two on it, and it's parked on the side of your home, and meanwhile you have a Lexus in front of your home where it's got a flat tire. And by the way, the day that I saw the graffiti on the car, I just assumed the flat tire was created by whoever did the graffiti, but I could be naive on that, and it might just be something that they do, you know, so nobody steals their car, or it could just be good old American laziness. You've got a vehicle that's disabled with a flat tire, and you have nothing really good to do with it. You're just going to let it sit there with its flat tire. I think sometimes people do use their front and backyard as a trash area. Isn't it a shame when you see somebody with a really nice home and they have a really big garage, and then you'll walk by one day and they've got their garage door open, and I bet half of you are like this. You open up their garage door, or you don't, they do, and you'll notice that their garage is filled to the brim with boxes and, you know, stuff that they're basically storage. They're using their garage as a storage room, to the point where they can't even park a car in there anymore. I don't know about you, but when your garage is overrun with junk and mementos from times gone by, that can be kind of inconvenient. Hey, I used inconvenient instead of inconvenient. I got to get out of my vocabulary. I also got to get interesting out of my vocabulary, because not everything is interesting. And for some reason, my brain just goes to, hey, this is interesting. Someone just killed somebody. It's interesting. This is not a vent today. These are things that I saw that I thought would be worth sharing and getting your input on. So if you have anything to share with me, please let me know. But if today's that day where you decide you're going to do some extra walk or extra credit and you walk some more, I'm proud of you. Keep it going.